Pro Evolution Soccer 6, one of the most beloved football games ever made, a true classic. But was it really that great, or are we all just blinded by nostalgia? At first, PES 6 can feel a bit underwhelming. It's kinda like playing a passing simulator with outdated mechanics. But then, mod it and you go from this to this.
Still on the run.
I'll be honest, coming from heavily modded Pro Evo 21, which for me is the closest thing to perfection, I was skeptical about diving back into this old school Pro Evo. By today's standards, PES 6 is incredibly simple. Oh, and speaking of Pro Evo 21, if you're watching this and never got a chance to buy it before Konami shut it down, I've got you covered. There's still a way to get a Steam version without selling a kidney for it. If you wanna check it out, I've put a link in the video description to a seller I personally used to get my copy. If you want to experience a proper modern football simulator, make sure to check it out. Anyway, back to PES 6. The more I played it, the more I appreciated its charm. There's something oddly satisfying about the game that strips football back to the fundamentals. No fancy dribbling, no hyper-realistic animations, just pace, passing and movement. You use space here to create attacks rather than relying on skill moves. In a way, PES 6 feels like returning to the roots of football gaming. And you know what? That actually feels pretty damn nice. Now look, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. PES 6 is old, and I mean really damn old. Almost 20 years old to be exact. To put that into perspective, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion was a brand new game when Pro Evo 6 was released. Twitter had just launched and nobody was arguing about Elon Musk yet. The first iPhone didn't even exist back then. People were out there flexing their flip phones and Blackberries. And if you were rocking an Intel Core 2 Extreme with a GeForce 8800 GTX and a whopping 2GB of RAM, you were the king of high-end gaming. SSDs? Never heard of them. And you patiently stared at your Windows XP loading screen like it was part of the experience. So yeah, the point I'm trying to make is that when you boot up Pro Evolution Soccer 6 today, it's gonna look rough, especially without mods. The default resolution and the CRT-like box monitor aspect ratio make it feel like a relic from another era. But, thankfully, mods fix a lot of that. With some effort, you can get widescreen support and higher resolution. But that said, even modded PES 6 still looks like an old game. The animations are basic, stadiums are decent with mods, but the crowds, man, they are just flat, 2D textures staring into the void. So yeah, it's dated game, no doubt about it. But you know, there's charm in that as well. It gives Pro Evolution Soccer 6 a distinct arcade feel, and honestly, I kinda love it. Speaking of mods, Pro Evo 6 still has an insanely active modding community, even now in 2025. When I checked forums, I was genuinely shocked at how many all-in-one patches exist for this game alone. And you know, these patches aren't just some lazy roster updates. No, my friend. Some modders are still creating high-quality content for Pro Evolution Soccer 6. And the best part? Many patches come with pre-installed versions, meaning you don't even need the base game to play. Just download it, install and boom, you're ready to go. There are classic era patches letting you play with teams from the 90s, 2000s and 2010s. My personal favorite is the Gladiator patch for the 2008-2009 season, which brings back some legendary squads like Barcelona, Milan, Inter, Chelsea and Manchester United. If you want to relive prime football nostalgia, I believe this is the way to do it. And then we have the menus. The iconic PES 6 menu sounds. If you played this game back in the day, they are burned into your brain. Some patches even restore the original soundtrack, which, I'm not gonna lie, hits you right in the nostalgia. But let's be real, the menus themselves, I believe they are clunky as hell. Yeah, they are fast, you can navigate through them quite quickly, but they are weirdly laid out and awkward to use. That said, I do appreciate the depth of tactical settings. You can actually assign player movement directions, which is something modern football games could learn from actually. Now let's talk about gameplay, because that's what truly makes or breaks a football game, right? And Pro Evolution Soccer 6? Well, it's got its quirks, but damn, it's a unique experience. First off, movement. Unlike modern games with their fancy 360-degree movement, PES6 sticks to an 8-directional system. That means players move in clear, defined angles rather than gliding smoothly in any direction that you want. Now, some of you might find this quite restrictive, but in a way, it makes the gameplay more structured. And you know what? The AI benefits from it definitely. Defenders position themselves quite well, and attacks have a more chess-like approach rather than the constant end-to-end arcade-style foot races we see in modern football games. But here's the weird part of it all. Despite being a fundamentally simulation-focused game, Pro Evolution Soccer 6 is fast. Like, ridiculously fast. Players zip around the pitch, passing is snappy, and shooting happens in the blink of an eye. Out of the box, it almost feels like the game is on a permanent turbo mode. I actually had to use a mod to slow things down because, for my personal taste, it was way too much. So yeah, it's a strange contrast, because on one hand the game respects real football mechanics, but on the other, the sheer speed of everything makes it feel arcadey as hell. It's like someone built a super tactical football simulator and then gave every player an energy drink sponsorship. Kinda weird. Now, I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Pro Evo 6 can be a tough game. A big part of that is randomness. Actions on the pitch don't always have predictable outcomes. Player stats influence so much of what happens, sometimes making you feel like you are guiding the action rather than directly controlling every little detail. Some of you will love that realism, others will find it frustrating. Me? I kinda dig it, except for one thing: shooting. I don't know if it's just my setup or some weird mod quirk, but the shot meter in PES6 is insanely sensitive. And I'm talking about blink and you've overpowered your shot levels of fast. Even slowing down the game didn't seem to fix it. But when you actually do score a long-range banger, man, that's a moment of pure satisfaction. The ball has weight, the physics feel impactful, and when you finally smash one top bins, you feel like you've earned it. And speaking of satisfaction, that's the real magic of Pro Evo 6. Attacking and creating chances isn't a given. Goals aren't handed to you on a silver platter like in many modern games. See, unlike modern games where every match feels like a shootout, Pro Evo 6 forces you to grind out results. There's also this beautiful chaos in front of goal. Random deflections, messy scrambles, goalkeepers making unpredictable saves. It really feels like anything can happen on the pitch. And from what I read, that's something that the Pro Evo 6 community absolutely loves. There's no scripting, no predetermined sequences, just pure, unscripted football moments. Something that later Pro Evolution Soccer games unfortunately started to lose. And then we have passing, which works differently from modern football games because there's actually no manual power gauge by default. You can trigger manual passes with the right stick, but honestly, it's awkward as hell. I just stuck to the standard passing system, which works well enough but definitely takes some adjusting. As for dribbling, let's just say this: forget about skill move spam. If you're the type who likes to dance around defenders with stepovers and flicks, Pro Evolution Soccer 6 will humble you real quick, my friend. Dribbling is simple, like really simple. Slow dribbles, body feints, and the occasional step over to create space. And honestly, I kinda love it. It forces you to play smart rather than relying on skill moves or exploits. So yeah, Pro Evolution Soccer 6 gameplay is really fast, borderline chaotic at times. But weirdly enough, despite its pace, it sticks to footballing fundamentals in a way that modern games often don't. It's a strange mix of arcade speed and tactical depth. But once you adjust to its quirks, there's something really special about how it plays. It's football in its rawest form. Unpredictable, scrappy, and immensely satisfying when you get things right. Now, let's talk about Jank and technical quirks of the game. Because let's be real, this game is from 2006, so yeah, there is some jank in here. It's part of the charm, but also part of the struggle with the game. First up, we have camera angles. By default, they are way too damn close. It feels like you're playing with a GoPro strapped to your striker's forehead. Luckily, there is a mod that lets you pull the camera back and actually see what the hell is happening on the pitch. Then there's the whole resolution situation, which I mentioned earlier, because since Pro Evo 6 was made for the golden age of square monitors, it still defaults to that old school boxy aspect ratio. So if you try running it on a modern setup, it may look like you're watching a vintage football match from the 80s. And maybe it's just my controller setup, but sometimes my pass directions just don't register properly. I aim one way and the ball goes the other. It could be some skill issue on my part or maybe some issue with my controller, I don't know. Either way, it's frustrating when it happens. But here's the real kicker. Imagine that you can still play this game online in 2025. Yeah man, you heard me right. Nearly 20 years later, Pro Evo 6 still has an active online scene. There's a community called PES6 Stars, where a bunch of diehard fans keep the online competitive scene alive. And the crazy part? The server actually seems quite populated. So if you're craving some old school online football action, Pro Evolution Soccer 6 has still got you covered. So all in all, is Pro Evolution Soccer 6 really the ultimate nostalgia trip? Or are we all just looking at it through rose-tinted glasses? Honestly, it's a bit of both. There's no denying that Pro Evolution Soccer 6 is old game. The graphics, the menus, the 8-directional movement system, it all feels like a product of its time. And if you jump in expecting a modern football game experience, you will probably bounce off it really quick. But if you give it time, if you adjust to its quirks, maybe throw in some mods in the mix, you start to see why people still love it today. The gameplay, even with its janky moments, has an undeniable charm. It forces you to think, to build attacks properly, and to grind out wins. And that feeling, that raw, unpredictable football experience is something that many modern games struggle to capture. So if you are someone who grew up playing Pro Evolution Soccer 6, revisiting it is like opening a time capsule of football gaming history. And even if you're new to it, it's still worth checking out, especially if you appreciate a more fundamental approach to football. So, does Pro Evolution Soccer 6 still hold up in 2025? Surprisingly, yeah, it kinda does. It's not perfect, but damn, it still has that magic. And that's why, nearly 20 years later, people are still playing it. That's gonna wrap it up for this one. If you enjoyed the video, drop a like and let me know in the comments, what's your favorite Pro Evolution Soccer game of all time? Which old football game should we look at next? And do you still play Pro Evolution Soccer 6? Or do you think it's just outdated nostalgia? Also, if you love classic football games and modding content, consider subscribing to my channel. I've got a ton of cool stuff coming up. Anyway, that's all from me in this video. Thanks for your time, and I'll see you in the next one.